Have you ever watched a championship-caliber team face their worst nightmare in real time? That's exactly what San Francisco 49ers fans are experiencing right now as they grapple with the devastating reality of losing Nick Bosa, their defensive cornerstone and arguably the most dominant pass rusher in the NFL. But here's the thing about the 49ers organization. They don't just sit around feeling sorry for themselves when disaster strikes. They get aggressive, they get creative, and they make moves that other franchises wouldn't even dare to consider. The question isn't whether the 49ers will survive without Bosa. It's whether they'll make another one of those jaw-dropping trades that reminds the entire league why Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are considered master roster architects. And based on what's happening behind the scenes right now, we might be about to witness another blockbuster move that could completely reshape the NFC playoff picture. Before we dive into the juicy trade possibilities, let's examine how the 49ers have already begun responding to this crisis. The organization wasted no time making crucial roster adjustments, bringing back safety Jalen Mahoney to the practice squad, a player with deep familiarity with the system after spending training camp and preseason with the team. Meanwhile, they released rookie safety Derek Canteen, though don't be surprised if they find a way to bring him back as a developmental piece. The most intriguing move, however, was promoting Robert Beal to the active roster. This is where the story gets fascinating because Beal represents everything you want in a developmental pass rusher, yet everything that's been frustrating about untapped potential. Standing 6 feet 4 inches and weighing 250 pounds, this former Georgia Bulldog ran a mind-boggling 4.48 40-yard dash during the pre-draft process. Those are video game numbers for someone his size, and they explain why the 49ers have been so patient with his development. But here's the reality check. Beal has managed just 22 tackles and 1 sack in his NFL career despite possessing a nearly 7-foot wingspan and all the physical tools you could want in a pass rusher. At Georgia, he was buried behind elite talent on those championship teams, starting only 10 games across 5 seasons. The 49ers are betting that Robert Saleh's creative defensive schemes can finally unlock what scouts saw in a 5-star recruit who never quite reached a ceiling. The pressure is absolutely immense for Beal right now. This isn't just an opportunity, it's potentially his last chance to prove he belongs in the NFL. If he can provide even a fraction of Bosa's impact, it would be a massive victory for San Francisco's development program and their ability to find diamonds in the rough. Here's where this story gets really spicy. ESPN insiders Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano recently identified the 49ers as one of the most likely teams to make a significant trade before the deadline, and their reasoning is absolutely spot on. As Graziano noted, the Kyle Shanahan-John Lynch 49ers have never been shy about making big in-season moves. Just ask Christian McCaffrey about that. The logic is undeniable when you consider San Francisco's track record. This organization doesn't panic, but they also don't accept mediocrity when championship opportunities are on the line. They're currently 3-0 despite facing an unprecedented injury crisis, but they understand that their Super Bowl window won't stay open forever. With an aging core and salary cap constraints looming, every season matters more than the last. What makes this situation even more compelling is the timing. The 49ers have built enough early season momentum to weather some storms, but they also have the schedule flexibility to properly evaluate any potential trade targets. They're not going to make a desperation move next week, but if their pass rush struggles become apparent over the next few games, expect Lynch to start making phone calls that could shake up the entire league. Let's talk about the players who could realistically transform San Francisco's defense overnight. Each of these targets represents a different approach to solving the Bosa problem, and each comes with unique advantages and challenges. Trey Hendrickson stands out as the most impactful potential acquisition. Nobody in the NFL has recorded more sacks than Hendrickson over the past 2 seasons, 17.5 total. And he's doing it while being criminally underrated in Cincinnati. The Bengals haven't given him the contract extension he deserves, and he becomes a free agent after this season. For the 49ers, he represents an immediate upgrade who could seamlessly fit into their system, while providing the kind of elite pass rush that makes championship runs possible. The cost would be significant, probably a first-round pick, possibly more. But consider what the 49ers gave up for McCaffrey and how that transformed their offense. Sometimes you have to mortgage the future to win in the present, and Hendrickson could be worth that kind of investment. Trayvon Walker presents a completely different opportunity. The former #1 overall pick is still developing into his potential, but his trajectory has been consistently upward since entering the league. His sack numbers have progressed from 3.5 to 10 to 10.5, and he's showing the kind of run defense improvements that indicate a player reaching full maturity. At his age, Walker could be a long-term solution rather than just a rental, making him an intriguing target for a team that needs to balance present success with future sustainability. Kayvon Thibodeaux represents perhaps the most realistic target on this list. The Giants are 0-3. Their season is already in serious jeopardy, and they have multiple pass rushers who could make Thibodeaux expendable. His 77.5 run defense grade from PFF shows he's not just a situational pass rusher. He's a complete player who could thrive in Robert Saleh's system. The fact that he's under contract for next year, thanks to his fifth-year option, makes him even more attractive from a long-term planning perspective. Jaelan Phillips represents the ultimate boom or bust acquisition. When healthy, he's absolutely devastating. His early career trajectory was pointing toward elite status before the Achilles injury derailed his 2024 season. The fact that he's already back and playing in all 3 games this season shows remarkable recovery speed, but there are legitimate questions about whether he can return to his pre-injury form. For the 49ers, Phillips could be a steal if they're confident in their medical evaluations and rehabilitation programs. His age, just 26, means he could have several prime years ahead of him if the injury concerns prove unfounded. Cam Jordan offers a completely different appeal as a veteran presence who could provide immediate leadership and scheme familiarity. He's obviously at the end of his career, but his 123 career sacks and 3 All-Pro selections speak to a player who knows how to perform in crucial moments. The Saints' 0-3 start makes him a realistic trade candidate, and his relatively low cost could make him an attractive complementary piece rather than a primary solution. The most fascinating aspect of this entire situation is watching how the 49ers will approach their decision-making process. They're not going to panic and make a move just because they can. They're going to evaluate how their current personnel performs over the next few weeks while simultaneously exploring their options. Robert Saleh's defensive creativity will be crucial during this evaluation period. If he can generate consistent pressure through exotic blitz packages, stunts, and personnel groupings, it might convince the front office that they can survive without making a major trade. But if opposing quarterbacks start having all day to throw and the defense begins to struggle, expect the 49ers to move aggressively. The beauty of San Francisco's position is their flexibility. They have the draft capital to make a significant move, the salary cap space to absorb a major contract, and the organizational reputation to convince players that joining the 49ers represents a legitimate championship opportunity. When you combine those factors with their track record of successful trades, it creates a perfect storm for another blockbuster acquisition. What makes this entire scenario so compelling is the underlying urgency driving every decision. The 49ers know they have a championship-caliber roster right now, but they also know that windows close quickly in the NFL. Their core players are aging, salary cap constraints are tightening, and injury concerns are mounting across the roster. This isn't just about replacing Nick Bosa's production. It's about maximizing a rare opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl with a nearly complete roster. The difference between making a trade and standing pat could be the difference between a championship and another year of wondering what if. The most successful franchises in NFL history are the ones that recognize these crucial moments and act decisively. The 49ers have already proven they're willing to be aggressive when championship opportunities present themselves. Now, they have to decide whether this situation demands another bold move or whether they can trust their current players to step up when it matters most. The next few weeks will reveal everything we need to know about the 49ers' true championship aspirations. Will they make another franchise-altering trade, or will they bet on internal development and creative coaching? Either way, this story is far from over, and the implications will ripple through the entire NFC playoff race. What's your take on the 49ers situation? Which trade target do you think would make the biggest impact? Or do you believe they should stick with their current roster and trust the system? Jump into the comments and let me know your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious to hear which direction you think they should go and whether you believe any of these trades will actually happen.